What's going on, guys? Tyson the Trainer here, back with another episode of Sports Talk, and I would like to continue the conversation that we had the other day in regards to making sure you're getting your micronutrients in, because they are such an important factor, especially for your coenzymes, your cofactors for actually enzyme production, and to help with energy overall. So we want to make sure we are going to be getting our micronutrients in. And on top of that, I also want to be able to cover for you guys kind of how you would work that around as an athlete to get all these certain things in, okay? So basically, the things we want to make sure we're getting on a daily basis, or in a weekly basis too. Daily first, so daily is going to be our dairy intake, okay? So 3 to 4 servings of dairy a day. Our fruit intake, 300 grams a day. Our veggies intake, 400 grams a day. Our whole grains, 2 to 4 servings a day of whole grains, ideally 4 servings. Our red meat, usually about 5 times a week would be ideal. Our healthy fats, so poly and monounsaturated fats coming from plants and marine animals versus saturated fats. We don't want them from animal products. And also make sure we're getting our fiber in, enough hydration. So a lot of things there to be able to cover, okay? So I want to break this down either kind of as a whole for you, if you're an athlete, how you'd be approaching this for yourself, okay? So firstly, with the daily habits, we want to make sure we work them around our training sessions, okay? So the first question for yourself is to ask you, when are you going to actually be training, right? Then we base everything around the training side of things, okay? So to give you an example, if you're someone who's going to do training first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, then we're obviously going to partition our nutrient all for the rest of the day, okay? If you're someone who's going to be training midday, we're going to make some adjustments between, making sure we're not having too much fiber or too much fat before our workout, or too much fiber and too much fat after our workout, or again in the afternoon. So basically, we're just going to kind of play this out with how you're going to go, especially with 2-a-day training sessions too, is something we also need to take into consideration, all right? So firstly, if you are someone who's going to be training in the morning, okay? If it's going to be a fasted exercise, have some caffeine beforehand, a black coffee, caffeine tablet, Monster Energy, whatever it's going to be, something with no calories, because you still technically want to fast. If you're trying to fast when you train, then go into your training session with nothing in your body, all right? After that training session, you want to immediately get protein and high glycemic carbohydrates in as fast as possible. So, as soon as you finish that workout, get about probably a quarter of your protein intake a day. So, if you're eating 4 meals a day or 5 meals, whatever it's going to be, spread out that protein through those meals. But ideally, between 20 to 40 grams of protein after that workout immediately. And also having some high GI glycemic index carbohydrates. The reason we want high GI carbohydrates after our workout is because it gives us a little bit of extra bonus and to help replenish our muscle glycogen, but also making sure that we're going to be pushing insulin a little bit higher, which will help push nutrients into the muscle. Now, carbohydrates immediately after your workout isn't that important. If you're going to be training later on in the day, it is much more important to get carbohydrates immediately after your workout. But even if you just want to have a protein shake straight after because you're not very hungry or anything like that, it'll cover your bases, okay? So at least protein, 20 to 40 grams after. And if you have the calories for it, or you're going to do a 2-a-day training session, get some high GI carbohydrates in after your session, okay? Now, after that first meal, this is where we want to tick the boxes for the rest of the day, okay? So you need to make sure you get your healthy fat servings, which is usually about 0.6 gram per kilogram a day. So if you're a 100 kilo male, you need 60 grams of fat. That first meal is not going to contain any fat or any fiber, just mainly protein. So then you've got 3 other meals a day where you need to get 20 grams of fat roughly in each meal to get that 60 gram mark, which is pretty easy if you have a main predominant fat source at each meal to get that, okay? Then on top of that, you need to get 400 grams of veggies a day. So with our veggies, 200 grams at lunch, 200 grams at dinner, 400 grams right there. With your fruit, a fruit could be something straight after your workout with that protein, or it could be a snack later on in the morning. It could also be an afternoon snack, or it could be a dessert to get your fruit in, right? With the dairy, if you're having a protein shake in the morning, that's 1 tick of dairy done. Your second dairy could be a snack, with some Greek yogurt or anything like that. It could be cheese over some food. It could be also making sure you're having, some yogurt in the evening too, some cottage cheese or anything like that to help spread out that dairy. Ideally, you'd have a protein shake afterwards to get your dairy. You'd also have some type of dairy as a snack. So again, maybe cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, or another, protein shake, whatever it's going to be. And then in the evening time for dessert, you have some dairy too. So that's your kind of 3 dairies there. I say cheese, and you can get cheese, but I would recommend doing low-fat cheese because, again, we want to keep our saturated fat a little bit lower, so we don't want to use our dairy products to get our fat from. Ideally, we want to choose the skim and low-fat options for the most part and get more of our fats from our healthy fats like I talked about, which is poly and monounsaturated fats, okay? Then, with our red meat, easy. lunch or dinner. It's up to you where you want to get that lean protein source from that. But then overall, the rest of your meals, you want to make sure you get that protein target that you're aiming for, which is 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. Okay, so it might be like, let's say again you're 100 kilos, so you need 200 grams of protein. You had 50 grams post workout. Okay, then you had another 50 grams at lunch, then you had another 50 grams at snack, then you had another 50 grams at dinner. Boom, sorted. Okay, with your whole grains, we don't want to have whole grains after our workout. We want to have a high glycemic carbohydrate, so white after our workout. Then if you're going to have 4 servings a day, you could have 2 servings of whole grains at lunch, 2 servings at dinner, or 1 at lunch, 1 at snack, 2 at dinner, or 2 at lunch, 1 at snack, 1 at dinner, whatever you want to be. But that's going to help tick those boxes off there. All right, and so just with that, you've hit your dairy, you've hit your veggies, you've hit your protein, you've hit your whole grains, you've hit your fruit, you've hit your dairy. I already said that, sorry. Yeah, your whole grains, and like you've hit your healthy fats, because I told you about that. You just ticked off the boxes for a lot of the day to get all those nutrients in, Now, let's say you're training twice a day, okay? This is gonna be a little bit harder. What you would wanna do if you're training twice a day to kind of get all these things in, making sure your lunch meal is containing fiber and healthy fats, all right? And making sure that snack is about 2 hours beforehand. So if you're training in the morning, let's say you train at 6 a.m. until 7:30, so you have your first shake at 8 o'clock. Your next meal would wanna be at 11 a.m., okay? So 3 hours after. All right, and then 3 hours after that at 2 p.m. And then let's say you're gonna train at 4 p.m. You've got enough time to let fiber and fat and just a meal digest in your stomach for that 4 p.m. meal, all right? And then after dinner time, after that run, it's probably gonna be dinner time, which then you can have some lower GI carbohydrates and some protein and some fat if you want to, because obviously you're still gonna fit that in through the day. And the important thing here is that you will replenish muscle glycogen if you have that meal regardless. The reason we want to have protein post-workout immediately in the morning is because have a low GI, because you want to make sure that you're getting nutrients back into the muscle, Since you're eating during the day for the rest of the day, getting that nutrients back into the muscle at dinner time after you eat a normal meal after training at let's say 4 o'clock is going to be fine. So you don't need to worry about that on the second side of things. It's mainly that first bit, okay? Now let's take another example. Let's say you're training in the afternoon. Let's say you train at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Well then, that's quite easy. So breakfast, you can cover your dairy, your whole grains, your protein, your fiber. What else can you cover? Fruit too. So for example, you could have Greek yogurt with a little bit of milk with 4 Weet-Bix and a piece of fruit and a handful of nuts. So you've got everything there, okay? Lunchtime again, red meat, fiber, whole grains, healthy fats, veggies and fruit there. And then again, at dinner time, you can do that. So your snack would be your high GI stuff, all right? So your snack may be protein with 2 crumpets or whatever it's gonna be. Or it might be just a protein shake with some cereal. Or it might be just 2 crumpets and a piece of fruit by itself, So it's whatever it's gonna be. But we just wanna alternate, that around our training. So we're getting all these other daily habits in, but we're not having it being detrimental to our training, okay? So kind of the only thing you have to be aware of here with your training is to keep your fat and fiber low post-workout immediately, or close to the workout beforehand, okay? So if you're gonna have fat and fiber in your meal before your workout, at least make it 2 hours beforehand, so it takes time to digest in your body, okay? Afterwards, we wanna kind of avoid fat and fiber, usually under the 5 gram mark of fiber a day, because fiber will slow down your, I don't want to say insulin spike, but it'll slow down how fast nutrients can be pushed to the muscle because it's slowing down digestion overall, and that's what fiber does, okay? So that's why we want to make sure we kind of keep that to a low and the fat to a low too, I would say under 7 grams of fat and fiber for your post-workout if you're having it immediately after, and ideally the lower the better, okay? Just because we kind of want to make it as good as possible. We don't have to be extreme and make it the best and be like, I'm just having a lean protein shake with, fucking 2 crumpets and honey and there's no fiber, no fats. You can have a little bit, but it's like, we don't want to kind of go overboard and slow down that digestion process, because the slower it takes to get nutrients into the muscle, just the less benefit you're going to have overall. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And then again, with that 2 training sessions, I guess the most important thing with our training sessions, getting carbohydrates in between our sessions, Post-workout, getting some quick carbohydrates in, but then if you're having 1 or 2 meals before your next workout, which you should be, ideally, you want to try and space them about 8 hours apart if you can. And within that time of, spacing that out, get in your low GI carbohydrates, get in your healthy fats, get in these things that are going to be helping you for your performance in that afternoon session, all right? So the best thing to be able to do there is just to make sure, again, keep your fiber and protein, keep your fiber and protein as low as you can. Keep your fiber and protein. keep your fiber and fats as low as you can around your workouts, and then fit in your daily habits for the rest of the workouts, okay? So you can still have your dairy after a workout or pre-workout. You can still make sure you are ticking your fruit box after a workout or pre-workout. Like, they're the two main things. And then from there, you know, our whole grains, our veggies, our fiber, our healthy fats, all those other things, they're going to be on the rest of our meals, all right? So I hope that was helpful. Hope that kind of clarified how you're going to be looking at, you know, trying to fit those things in your diet. It doesn't have to be as overwhelming as you think. And yeah, hope that was helpful. Speak to you guys next time.